I see you, sugar. You see me, sugar? Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you see, sugar? You say hi, everybody, sugar. You're on Facebook Live, sugar. Say hi. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's getting cold out. So I was asked a question yesterday through my business site if I was Christian or not, and it's a very loaded question considering the climate of the day. Very loaded. And I'm part of a nation which is a Judeo-Christian nation. Okay. But we accept people from all over the world. Muslims, Islam, whatever. All religions come to America, but I am part of a Judeo-Christian nation. Okay, so I can't deny that. Now, somebody asked me if I was actually Christian. Well, I was raised Jewish. Okay, I have a Jewish name. I was raised Jewish, but I don't really identify with Judaism. I mean, I like the Bible because it has a lot of allegories that explain life and death that you could directly correlate with science. Okay. It's like, I struggle with the whole thing with religion or picking a side for many, many years. And I did do like my own little religious sabbatical where I would go to live in a Christian commune in Hawaii, to going to different mosques and temples and gatherings that subscribe to a specific religion, you know, whether it's Christian Science, Roman Catholic. I mean, there's just so many offshoots. Protestant. I mean, when I grew up, I had friends that were very, very Protestant and very, very religious. And okay, I mean, what I see religion is, what spirituality is, it is an explanation of life and death through allegory. And I think anyone that's alive, unless you're a homicidal maniac, everyone that's alive believes in God. Now you have your different interpretations of what God is. I mean, as far as Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and all of that. And there are extremists, or Moses, or Yahweh, but there are extremists in all religions. I mean, you've seen it, people that will kill in the name of their religion, whether it's from Christianity to Islam to, I don't know, Buddha. Well, yeah, even Buddhism, because then you have the Chinese that are going to go and try to stop Buddhist monks from doing what they're doing, and they have to go and fight too. So it's like you defend how you interpret what life and death is. But I think every religion, actually, I know every religion believes in God, whatever you want to call it, and God is life. Life is what keeps you going. And then there's a segment that accept death. Now, I've heard that the Jehovah's Witnesses, I haven't heard all the Jehovah's Witnesses say anything about indefinite life, but my friend Christina Morris, that's on my Facebook here, she says that, yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that there should be indefinite life, like immortality, but that has a lot of weight or a lot of baggage to it. So I don't use the word immortality at all as far as explaining, J-juice and anything that I believe in. But they do believe that you're on this earth indefinitely to take care of the animals, to tend to the animals, to tend to the earth, be good stewards of the earth and the animals. And so, but then I don't hear all Jehovah's Witnesses talk about that. Okay, so it's all about how you interpret the Bible, whatever rendition of the Bible, whether it's King James or, New International Version. I mean, there's so many offshoots. I can't even begin to tell you which one is right and which one's wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's just your interpretation, but you still believe in life. Life is what keeps your heart going. Life is all the different processes, the biochemical manifestations that allow you to be here physically in body, mind, and spirit. Now, when you talk about spirituality, then it gets to the nitty gritty where people are only worried about their hormones, which I say spirituality is just about your hormones, because it's about tapping into another perspective. Because whenever you have a specific hormone present, you have a very different perspective. Okay. And so that's where I think all these different offshoots of religions and spirituality is based upon which hormones are present. Some people are like into tantric sex because they want the oxytocin. Others are into this adrenaline. And so they do all this adrenalized stuff, and it brings up a lot of angst and anger. And then there's potential, what people say, like satanic stuff, which I mean, Satan is a very broad and general thing. It honors death, but then some people say, well, it talks about all of the different elements. But then I think it accepts death as an inevitable, like which most religions do out there, because no one has really talked about indefinite life. So I think every single religion has some aspect of Satanism in it, because people do succumb to the elements. They have believed that, you know, at some point you're going to die, and that is a satanic principle. Death is Satanism. Okay. And that's in my opinion. Now someone else could say a totally different thing, but you're asking me what my opinion is. So you're asking if I'm Christian. I don't think I'm anything specific. I think Jesus is great. Jesus is God. Jesus is life. Yahweh is God. Yahweh is life. Buddha is God. Buddha is life. Allah, I mean, this thing with the extremists, no matter which religion, whether it's Judaism, Islam, Muslim, Jehovah's Witness, Christian, Catholic, whenever you take religion and use it as a justification to kill people, then you are, I would say, in my opinion, satanic, because now you're condoning death in the name of life, and that's satanic. So then you almost negate yourself and say, I'm a Christian, but I believe in death by killing the name of my religion. That's a satanic principle dressed up in some kind of religion. And I don't believe in that. If you believe in life, you believe in all of life, and you don't justify death. Now, here's the thing with geopolitical stuff. There is a fight for resources, a fight for posturing, for top dog, for all this stuff. And, you know, I'd rather have America be top dog, because the principles of America is freedom. It is the most powerful. It is the most progressive, the most, I would say, organized. I mean, along with the West too, ideology in the world. We are a superpower for a reason. Okay, we may have a bunch, like millions of people that are all adrenalized. They're in our military, like super soldiers, I guess. And we have technology, bar none, over above everybody else. And then we keep track, and we are very strategic. But then you look at, we are smart. We go and find the best and the brightest in all the different worlds, whether it's from Nazi Germany, back when that was going on, we got the best and the brightest to come in and create and start sparking innovation. You can use evil for good and good for evil. Okay, you can always have those two interchange no matter what. And I believe, this is where my belief in America is that we're taking the good or taking the evil and turn it into good. And then it manifests in me being able to create Jilly Juice, get on Facebook, talk about it, help people with understanding the different perspective, potentially introducing indefinite life. Okay, so it's allowing me to do these things that I probably couldn't do over there in some third world nation because of lack of infrastructure, lack of innovation, lack of allowing freedom of religion. Okay, I mean, if people can't even practice their religion in their own country, then you know you have a lot of oppression. And that's not the American way, is to oppress anybody. Though we are being characterized that because we're now on the internet talking to people who don't like our ideology, who get their own propaganda from their own people, or from something they read on some blog site. And then people here are dealing with all of their cancer, disease, chronic illness, and they don't like to pay taxes, and they think that anarchy is the best way. And so they fall into someone else's perception of us, and they turn into that. And then they start slamming American ideology and American principles. And so that's where now, with the whole thing with the Jilly Juice, you're going to bring yourself back to center at some point. You're going to get away from those that are slamming American ideology. You're going to get away from the conspiracy community thinking that the American government is trying to destroy you, which they're not. Okay? And so I don't know why I was brought to this world to talk about this. Somebody had to. I guess maybe at some point someone had to figure out that if you don't protect your home, your body, okay, someone's going to try to keep you in a homeostasis and try to keep you alive relative to your perception of what life is. Eventually, you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. But if you don't protect your body and your homeland, you have nothing. If you constantly undermine your body and then the principles that are on your soil, and that goes for people over there like in Iraq, Iran. I mean, if they believe in their country, they'll fight for it. But then we don't know if it's like the government or the people. We don't know which one is which. And so that's the thing that we're dealing with as far as our government and going over to other countries to figure out, is it the people's principles to hate America, or is it the government brainwashing their people to hate America? And yeah, you could say that the government definitely has a hand in instructing the people. But remember, American principles, we take in refugees. Yeah, we have to be a little bit careful now vetting out people coming in because we have this whole anti-American ideology. We have to be careful, but we still take in people. I came here from the Vietnam War. Okay? I was saved from a potential doom. I mean, when I was in an orphanage starving to death, and then Pan Am came in and airlifted me out of Vietnam and brought me to American soil, to which then I was supposed to go to one other family in New York. I was too sick. They thought I was autistic. And so they actually rejected me. And so then my parents, my family, adopted me, didn't care if I was sick or if I looked like I was going to be a problem. But they took me on and they protein loaded me. They gave me McDonald's. They gave me French fries. They gave me everything that I get my hands on. And I was eating bread. I was eating bread like, oh man, I still love bread today. But they were giving me everything that American principles have. And that is fast food, everything. And guess what? I started growing, developing. Instead of walking, I ran. Okay? So I have really no beef with America because they gave me this chance. So if a country gives people a chance to be innovative, to be and do whatever they put their mind to, you can't slam that. And if another country doesn't allow their people to do that, you got to question that. But then, hey, some people like having a very, very, very limited way of living. And just like when someone is in a jar, so I'll say when a flea is in a jar and it goes only up to, and it jumps to the lid, you take the lid off, they still jump to the point of where the lid was, but never higher. That's kind of a lot of people out there in the world. I mean, they're so used to being in such a vacuum pack, and they're not exposed to anything else out there. That's all they know, and they're going to fight for what they know. Okay, fine. We don't go in there and try to just kick down the door and diplomacy. But if the government's oppressing the people and harming them and horribly and torturing them and not giving them religious freedom and kidnapping them and all this other stuff, then we have a world court that goes in and says, okay, this is crimes against humanity. Not okay. What can we do to help you guys out to maybe think in a different way? And then we have trade relations and resources, American interests that also come into play. Okay, so does it matter if I'm Christian or not? No. What matters is I promote life, and my country promotes life. People who think that vaccines are so horrible, go to Liberia, third world country, where there's kids dying every single day from preventable diseases. What are these preventable diseases? These viruses that nobody has any control over. You're going to be exposed to a flu virus, cold virus, benign viruses, but not really benign on a weak body. And they die every day. So when you cure death with vaccines, not everybody survives the environment, which means you're not going to survive a vaccine. So either way, you're screwed if you can't survive either. Okay, but when you're curing death, you'll get disease because you weren't meant to live to begin with. Mother Nature is the one that is judge, jury, and executioner. Okay? And so, yes, American ideals, American principles, we value life. We value life above all. So we value life. We value innovation. We value freedom of speech. As much as I hate seeing people undermine my own country and basically almost be like a Benedict Arnold, but the very principles of America is you can speak your mind, but as soon as you actually physically do something treasonous against your nation, like harm the people that you live with. Now, as far as harm versus verbal versus physical, I think you can verbally abuse somebody and take down something that has far greater damage than physically. Because yeah, when you physically do something like a bomb or something else, or shoot somebody in the name of your religion or your country, that's easy to remedy. You've just shown your cards and there's no mistaking. It's like, what do you call it? It's the due process is pretty quick. But this propaganda, the verbal abuse against Americans from your own countrymen, that's more insidious. That is probably far more damaging than somebody actually physically doing something physically treasonous against your country. And I could see why Facebook censors, I could see why the FBI and the CIA and everything will visit someone who makes threats against the president, like George Lopez, who is a has-been, who I never liked at all, even back when he was in his heyday. Okay, so, but that's the Bill of Rights, First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. So the press is also has a hand in undermining. So here's the thing: you're allowed to have your opinion, but now you have to be able to substantiate. And the last say is the court of law. So you can say whatever the hell you want out there in the world within reason, but it's the law that has the last say. And so that's what I had to deal with people talking smack about me, writing articles about me that are totally like completely false. And so they forced me to pull myself up by my bootstraps and substantiate everything. Because it's not enough to have a theory, it's not enough to have an idea, even though, yeah, American innovation is great, but you have to substantiate it with sound concepts. Thanks, Rob. Okay, George Bush is awesome, but yeah, he sucks. Yeah, okay, I understand, I get it, Rob. I never watched his show, okay. And you're right, John. You know, torment is on par with violence. Oh my God, it is. It's freaking crazy. And so I think that the verbal abuse against your own nation is far more damaging than doing, you know, indiscriminate, violent. Though, I mean, it's not great that we have kids that are picking up arms against their own peers, but you see the bullying go on. Some people are at their breaking point. Some people are listening to people that are just fanning their flames. And when you have chemical imbalances, some people will adopt and actually act upon the things that are shown all over the internet. And so that's why the FBI and surveillance is happening, because we have these types of people who will go and act acts of violence because of something they read on the internet. I mean, and I'll tell you, I've experienced that where I've had violent things said to me. That's why I'm very, very careful in who it is I talk to, who it is I bring into my world. I know that a lot of you want to know this information. You're coming from a very, very like innocent place, and you want to know this information. And I'm still very reserved on who it is but I give everybody the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. I try my best to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I really do. But you still have to be very careful out there because you don't know people's intentions. And sometimes the vetting process can take years. So that's exactly what goes on with the immigration and Trump not allowing so many people coming in all at once, because you don't know everybody's intentions. You just don't. So you have to be more careful than not, given the climate. Okay? So it doesn't matter if I'm Christian, Catholic, whatever. I was raised Jewish, but I subscribe to nothing. I believe in everything that's pro-life. And if you accommodate death and you cater to death and you believe that death should happen whether now or later, whether it's homicide, infanticide, suicide, or you believe people should die at some point, I don't subscribe to that. That's satanic to me. But if you believe in life above all else and you cater to life on an indefinite level and you're willing to go through the pain of life, which is healing and all of that, I don't care what religion you are. It makes no difference because you believe in life. That is the common ground that I have, that I share with humanity. So no matter what, if you believe in dying, then I have nothing in common with you, because the very notion of Jews is not to die. Okay. So of course, that's the only thing that I do where I'm taken aside. But that's also part of American principles. We believe in life. We have to merge man-made law and natural law. Natural law is like pure Darwinism. That's when you're born, and if you don't have enough what it takes to survive, you're dead. So that's a third world country principle out there. When they don't have infrastructure or modern medicine and biotech to intercept, that's pure Darwinism. And so the West, the Vatican, okay, Italy, Europe, America, taking the best and brightest from everywhere and bringing them over here to create innovation, they found ways to intercept, to give you a stay of execution, whether through vaccines or procedures, immunotherapies, and then now it's up to you to do something about it. You change your life around, or you go down that trajectory that was meant for you way back before they even gave you that procedure. Okay, so what do people die from? They die from antibody acquisition. Well, what the hell is that? Antibodies is when you have malabsorption, which means you're not bringing in enough nutrients to where your body can actually get benefit from it. Okay, and you already have predispositions from your parents and from any traumas that happen in your current life, and you're exposed to viruses, and you have imbalances in your fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals, and so antibodies build up. That's the whole point of the vaccines, is to give you enough antibodies for that specific virus to give you some layer of protection, so you don't have an over fast accumulating antibodies that could shut you down. And that is no different than getting the wrong blood type in your body. If you're O negative and you get an AB positive, those antibodies will shut you down. But that's what people die from, is either a very fast accumulation of antibodies, of which you have a baby who's been exposed to a virus that doesn't have a layer of protection, because even natural immunity cannot be enough. Okay, and then antibodies accumulate that quick, and then you have all these weaknesses anyways. It shuts the body down. People die from preventable diseases. So that's why the push for vaccines. But you can't tell the anti-vaxxers out there, because they're so steadfast thinking that the government's trying to kill them, because they're listening to Andrew Wakefield and all of these people who are anti-American, anti-big pharma, and they have it in their head that they're trying to make money off of your body. Hey, you're the one that created these predispositions by not resolving them way back a long time ago. Some of you were born with it. You can't help it. It's not your fault. But then you keep applying the wrong chemistry to your body, or doing these trendy things like cryotherapy, polar bear club, hot saunas, hot yogas, and that also accumulates antibodies. And if you have a stagnated filtration process and you have imbalances, you're going to be harboring so many antibodies plus antigen creating antibodies, plus you have weaknesses in your vital organs. It's only a matter of time before something that you do to take care of an illness is going to then put you over the edge and be that one extra antibody that's going to shut down the vital organs. And then all of that stuff manifests in depression. It manifests in paranoia. It manifests in cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmunity, aging. Those are the indicators. Okay, so what else do you die from? So where does that come from? So antibody acquisition on a weak body that doesn't have enough resources to heal, then you start triggering sepsis. Sepsis is where the body has so much infection that happens so quickly, it gets into the bloodstream and shuts you down. That's what sepsis is. Septicemia. There's those other names for it too. And then the heart attacks and strokes is from the blood thickening from the antibodies and all the plaque and all the antigen and the fatty acids, okay, that stop the blood from going into the necessary places like the brain and the heart. And when you have so much fatty acid imbalances that are clogging up your arteries, then you have these triple, quadruple bypass surgeries. And then you have these stents put in there to widen up the capillaries or whatever, okay? Or you have such a thickening of the walls of your heart, then you have cardiomyopathy or hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, okay? Or you have a sudden cardiac arrest, or you have a stroke, an aneurysm. Those are all indicators that you have antibody acquisition and you don't have enough electrolytes to keep that blood moving. You don't have enough nutrition to heal the weaknesses to then stop the antibody acquisition. And then also, too, those that have Parkinson's, like Janet Reno, she's the one that died from Parkinson's also out there along with some other people. You know, you die from the lack of the ability to swallow. You drown in your own spit because you don't have enough dopamine to then trigger your muscles to allow you to swallow. And so you drown. Okay? So what is dopamine? It's a hormone. So what's an imbalance in your hormones? Not enough hormones, where it triggers Parkinson's and ALS and all that. That's what a prohormone is. It's a precursor. It's what vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and L, M, N, O, P, are. And then people take these pills, powdered supplements, and then they cause more imbalances in their hormones because they're taking vitamin D because someone said, oh, yeah, to cure depression, you take magnesium, you take vitamin D. And so they're taking massive amounts of vitamin D and magnesium, and it causes more imbalances. And so the holistic market, the naturopathics, the homeopathics, are causing even more imbalances in people. And then these crunchy mamas are then shoving elderberry syrup down their kid's throat, which causes more acid imbalances. Or they're doing apple cider vinegar with honey and ginger. And I did that too way back when I was exploring all the different possibilities to heal my premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which was my curse, my indicator that I was going down a very precarious road. I turned my biochemistry around with the J juice, okay? Because I saw the road I was going down. And I listened to those indicators and I tried everything under the sun. Some people can't afford to try everything under the sun because they don't have enough nutrition and resources to be able to handle all the remedies out there. No different than a hospice patient can't afford to do any more chemotherapy or cannabis or anything else because they don't have enough left to handle the stay of execution because they don't have anything. It's depleted. That's what hospice is when you don't have enough resource in your body to handle all the remedies, the detoxes, the diet changes from keto to paleo to Mediterranean to meat, Atkins, the working out, which is causing more antibodies, causing more lactic acid imbalances. Just watch all your friends that are in the workout world or lifting weights. You see the aging happen. You know why? Because they're creating so much trauma to their body, creating more antibodies. And then the body has to keep the vital organs going. And so it steals resources. And that's why you see athletes aging so aggressively. They may look good for a certain amount of time, but then you start seeing the consequences of their trendy lifestyle. Yeah, it made them some money. Yeah, they have a nice house at the expense of their body. So the difference of life and death is the type of chemistry you apply to it, not mischaracterizing the symptoms. Because like I said, it's painful to heal and it's painful to die, but you don't have to die from healing. But that's what people are under the impression, that pain equals imminent death. No, pain is imminent life. But if you don't give the body what it needs and you're in constant chronic pain, eventually your body's going to give out. Okay? What did you say, Rob Zoid? Laugh out loud, crunchy mamas. Oh yeah, believe me, I belong to so many different groups that you know, when you go onto the internet and onto Facebook and you join all these different groups, and it's like so much faster than going out there, you know, and looking in the paper for gatherings and trying to penetrate different social circles, because you know, if you're part of part of a small pond, you don't get out of your social circle. And some people get stuck in their social circle, so they don't know there's more stuff out there. So when you're on the internet, now you're going into all these different groups called Crunchy Mamas and anti-vax and I hate big pharma, and then you start seeing people's perspective. Okay? And so, yeah, I mean, I belong to all of them. And now I have a bird's eye view of what works and what doesn't work. Okay? And now you have to understand what actually causes death. And then I bring in the whole thing with the DNA methylation. You're like, what the hell is that? Well, remember the waterfalls. The waterfalls is what's releasing the excess methane contributors, because DNA methylation is where it inhibits gene transcription. What is gene transcription? The way in which your DNA manifests and creates RNA, which then reproduces. Okay? And so when somebody has cancer, DNA methylation is like a chemotherapy where it stops the multiplication, the reproduction of cancer cells as well as other cells. So it kind of just stops the healing process. But if you actually expose yourself to too much methane with not enough diluting forces, because DNA methylation is like CH3, methane is CH4, one extra atom of hydrogen with carbon could kill a person. It asphyxiates you. So when somebody is full of shit, it's a type of DNA methylation. It's an asphyxiation of your cells, causing mutations, imbalances in your fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And that's why you see people who could be very skinny fat or fat, okay, obese. You see that they have diabetes. You see they have, you know, heart issues, or they have high blood pressure, low blood pressure, autoimmunity. That's as a result of a type of DNA methylation that wasn't induced by biotech. It's induced by the fact that you have not taken care of the root cause, because you're applying the wrong chemistry and you're not doing anything about it. You're just taking things to superficially give you a state of execution. But at some point, the heart will give out. At some point, strokes do happen. At some point, you may trigger something even more serious than what you have already. And so the indicators are sickness. You see everybody sick on Facebook, those are indicators. Those are laying the groundwork for a more aggressive disease down the road. So what I'm trying to do is say, hey, let's do a preemptive and go and heal the weaknesses. And that is the symptoms that you're going to have to experience right off the bat, right off the top. The J juice, you're going to be experiencing symptoms. Not because the juice is poisonous, because you have weaknesses that have to be healed. And pain is healing. Okay? And so, and then you have to think about the geopolitics and all that crap, which you trust your government to take care of. You have to worry about all the viruses, the Ebola and the flu virus, which right now I hear is the most, it's been the most deadliest this year. But it doesn't surprise me, because I'll tell you how I know it's been deadly. It's very, very aggressive. I experienced it for about a day. And it was weird. I knew when it hit me, but I wasn't sick. My body kicked into gear and released it. How did I know? I'm going to tell you this, how I knew that I was exposed to that very, very aggressive flu virus. I made some soup for my husband, some kind of pho soup, Vietnamese noodles and all of that, vermicelli. And then I took a nap on the couch. It's like on a Sunday. And my husband was out doing whatever he was doing. And I woke up with the start, like I was choking on my own spit. Now, I've been sleeping for many, many years, for 8 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever. Never really choked in my sleep on spit. So I'm like, okay, what's the deal here? But what happened was I choked and I started coughing so hard, coughing and mucusing everything out, like all day. And I was coughing and mucusing and coughing for a whole day. My husband going, what the hell? I'm like, I guess I triggered something and I can't seem to stop coughing. And it was for one whole day. And then I took some of my juice and all that stuff, but I wasn't sick. I was just, my body was releasing some excess data in a virus that is very aggressive out there, because we went out to eat with friends, we've been exposed to other friends. So, and viruses can live they can be on surfaces and on things for a while, okay? And so my body saw that there was an invader, or there was something more that didn't need to be, and it kicked into gear. My immune system kicked in gear and kicked it out. And then I was fine. And then I think I went on Facebook Live and said, okay, well, yesterday I was like, oh my God, but today I'm feeling great. Just a little bit tiny cough, and that was it. But it's not that I was sick. It's the symptoms, is the body kicking out something that it didn't need. It was releasing the excess. Okay? So there are aggressive viruses out there, and people who get all those symptoms have weaknesses. When you actually get diagnosed to where then you're taking Mucinex, and this is where things go wrong, is that people look at these symptoms as something bad, and they take things to stop the mucus. So now you're just incubating and harboring this virus excess in your body, thinking that, oh, Mucinex or turmeric and honey is going to kill the virus. There's nothing that kills viruses. Antivirals are only deal with the symptoms. They don't kill viruses. Nothing kills viruses. So when people apply the wrong chemistry to their body, not knowing that you can never kill a virus, you can kind of, kill off bacteria, but you need bacteria in your body. There's good bacteria and there's good bacteria, but you have imbalances based upon stagnation in your body, mind, and spirit. What is the stagnation? It's all the anomalies from the imbalances that stop your body from releasing and absorbing at the same time. Maybe the rate of release is far greater than the rate of absorption. And that's what leaky gut is. That's what malabsorption is. And that's what triggered me to do this whole protocol to begin with, because I realized that candida, which is yeast, which is not bad, but when you have an imbalance in the fungi in your body, because you need fungus in your body a certain amount, but then the acids plus the excess fungus start boring holes to where you're not absorbing the nutrition, and then you're finding that you're seeing imbalances from lack of nutrition. And then the body tries to compensate, and so it produces antibody to try to keep the balance, but too much antibody acquisition and not enough releasing. But you have to have antibodies to help stave away and keep the balance in your body. But this is the hue and cry of the anti-vaxxers. Oh my God, too many antibodies. But your kids already has predispositions. They got to have a layer of protection, or they die from an exposure because of too many antibodies accumulating from something that they were never exposed to before. That's what vaccines give you: a preemptive, weakened layer of protection, a preemptive exposure. Okay? So that way, when you do get exposed to that virus, it's not going to be over accumulating to shut off your organs. But these anti-vaxxers don't know this. And they will go to the end of the earth to try to shut down pro-vaccine arguments. And in essence, they're putting their friends and family in major danger, because you don't know the predispositions of your friends and family. You don't even begin to know what people are dealing with. And it's not up to you, somebody on Facebook, to give somebody medical advice as far as whether or not they should get a vaccine or not. Someone asked me on Facebook, should they get the flu vaccine? You know what I said? Talk to your doctor. Your doctor knows exactly your predispositions, what would work and what wouldn't work. Some people have issues where they can't get a vaccine because that's too much antibody acquisition based upon their predispositions. But some people can, because they don't have as many predispositions. They can handle being exposed preemptively to a flu virus without suffering major complications. But it's up to your doctor to be the one to determine that, not some schmo on Facebook that has a freaking axe to grind because they have imbalances. And that's the world that I fell into. I was that schmo on Facebook giving people medical advice. Not anymore. But if you're giving medical advice to people out there on Facebook, telling them not to get a vaccine or telling them to get a vaccine, you tell them, go to your doctor. They will do tests to make sure that you can handle not getting one or getting one. So I will never tell someone to get one or not get one. I say, go to your doctor, go to your doctor. But if you understand J-juice, then you will determine whether or not a doctor is appropriate. So I will never say I'm against doctors. In the beginning, yes, because I was conspiracy, anti-big pharma, anti-vax, you name it, I was it. That's how I know so much, because I actually lived the other side of the argument. If you don't live the other side of the argument, you can't possibly know. And so then, is your argument really relevant? It might be, it might not be. But hey, remember, we're talking about pro-life here. Now, would I get a vaccine if it's mandatory? Hell yeah. Would I voluntarily get all the vaccines? I don't need to. I don't like to voluntarily stick myself with needles. But if the CDC says that there's something imminent that's coming through, or it's going to come through, it's already here, and they make it mandatory, I'll do it. But I didn't need the flu vaccine to deal with that exposure to the flu. I had my immune system, but I have a strong one. But not all of you have a strong immune system. Not all of you can afford to not get a flu vaccine if you have issues, but you still have to go to your doctor to figure that out. Your doctor will determine what's appropriate. But not a lot of you are doing the JJs at the level that you should, so you probably should get all the things that your doctor recommends. Because I'm telling you, it's not easy. I've lost a lot of people along the way. They're like all gung-ho into the JJs, whatever. They drank like a quart, and they're like, oh my God, and then I don't hear from them again. You know why? Because it's difficult. This is not some wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, cup of tea. This is something that you do for a long period of time, and you start noticing the differences. And you still prioritize your kids, your family, your job, and then you make time for the healing. You understand the symptoms, call in sick when you need to. Instead of taking a 2-week vacation up, going to Peru and hanging around, you go home and you heal, because there's plenty of time to go to Peru. There's plenty of time to go travel. There's plenty of time to do all that fun stuff. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm putting the work in, because down the road, I plan to go travel down the road. I can't say when. I got a dog, I got a husband, I got a lot of things going on. I got a book, another book to get out there. I would love to go travel and go to, warm exotic beaches right now, but you know what? Right now it's not the time. I got a lot of things that I got to do, and the world that I live in right now, the town that I live in right now, does not distract me from my goal. I'm perfectly happy watching Netflix, thinking, getting on Facebook Live, trying to make this information as easy as I can, get the book out, take care of my dog, take care of my husband, work with the goals that him and I have created for ourselves, and think about the future. Know that things are going to change in the future, because I can't control what my husband does as far as his health. So I know down the road things are going to be, changing, and I know that I'm preparing for that. But at this point, I'm happy with where I'm at. Putting in the work, not gallivanting around the globe, not taking care of my business, which is making sure that this information is so easy for all of you, so that way you can go home and chill and not worry about gallivanting across the globe trying to do everything before you die, because maybe you don't have to die, but you still have to heal first. Okay, because a couple years ago, I was like just so hot to trot to go travel, and we went on the yeah, Rob, we did some great stuff. My husband and I were on the truck together. We're driving around, seeing a bunch of stuff. I drove across country by myself. I went to China. I hung out in Hawaii for like 6 months. Been to Canada. Okay, never been to Mexico. Don't have any desire to go to Mexico. Haven't been to the UK. Would love to go there, and haven't been to Vietnam since I was born there. One day I'm going to go, but I have plenty of time. And I'm going to adapt to all the different geopolitical climates. I'm going to adapt to all of the climate change. And we just pull back and heal, take care of our priorities, and heal and do the best we can to figure out how to be marketable in this very fluctuating climate. Okay? And where you put your energy is where you're going to get that energy back. And if you're so into the activism, anti-Americanism, all this stuff that gives you no return, then you're kind of wasting your minerals on something that doesn't make sense. So now I'm trying to redirect to where you guys can take care of your body, so you can take care of your country and your life and your family, and pass down good genetics, or at least good practices, habits. So that's my goal in my world, is to do that. believe me, a couple of years ago, I would have been like, oh, let's go to Columbus, Ohio. Let's go to Toledo. Let's go to Cincinnati. Let's go. And I still would love to, but then when you think about it, you go there. Okay, you drive there. Yeah, you see some tall buildings. Yeah, where do you go in Cincinnati? Where do you go? Those types of things, I don't have a draw. It doesn't entice me anymore to go and just, I want to, but I don't, because there's just bigger things I got to do at this point. And when you have so much life ahead of you, you'll see everything that you want to see. I've seen most of the US. Not everything. I haven't been to the North Dakota. I've been through Nebraska and South Dakota, I think. Yeah, I think on that. I've been on the 80 and the 40 and the 10 going through, with a little bit of a detour going to the what do you call that? The Grand Canyon. I've been to the border, didn't go past the border. I've been to El Paso and seen all that. But so, I got that a little bit out of my system, the traveling bug, seeing different things. But, I'm moving from California to Ohio. And you know how crazy California is. I see it now as I'm the outside looking in, not a Californian anymore. And I'm like, oh my God. I was in California when it was really, really awesome. Now, I don't know. California is not as enticing as it used to be. It's like watching Back to the Future, like 2 or something, when Biff completely decimates his hometown. And now it's like this big, huge casino, Biff Town or something. And like all of his stuff is laid to waste, homeless and garbage in the streets, and marauding rebels that are stealing, and policemen can't even, do their job because of the DA in California. That's kind of like Back to the Future it's like California or San Francisco is channeling Back to the Future too. Biff. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad I'm out of California. And even though I'm in more of an economically depressed town, it's very chill. It's not like it's super rich, not it's like super poor. It has its issues, but there's no distractions here. And living here is relatively inexpensive. And when you live somewhere that's relatively inexpensive, relatively safe, you got it made. You don't have to work your ass off and to pay for such a high cost of living, as well as all of your toys. So my husband has all of his toys, and that's fine. He can spend his money on his toys. As long as it doesn't break us, I'm fine. I don't have a lot of hobbies. This is my life. This is my hobby. Okay? And until I made it with this, because I haven't made it with this yet. I haven't made it yet, whatever that is. And it may be a couple decades before I actually make it with this. But until I make it with this is what I'm going to be doing from this point forward. Because there's 7 billion people on this planet that definitely need an exposure to this. But I've also resigned myself to the fact that not everyone's going to do this. And so you take advantage of the minerals leaving this earth that don't want to live. But you have to still cover your ass. You don't hide this information. If you're in the health and wellness world selling pills, power supplements, and detoxes and prescription drugs and all that stuff, and you're doing the J juice, but you know that you're selling somebody something that's going to really take them down the road, you still expose them to this. Give them the option, but then, do and give them what they want. Yeah, hoverboards don't work on water. Rob. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So cover your ass, at least ethically. It would be unethical that you don't, if you're in the health and wellness world, it would be unethical that you don't introduce this somewhere. Even if it's just a minor thing, but still, you're telling people, I'm doing the J juice. Yes, it's controversial. And there's a way you can position your pills, power supplements, and detoxes and therapies to where it's still something that you can be, in conjunction with J juice. And a person still isn't open to it, but they can, but you can work both of those. You can work them both in. But then you still, so it's that way you don't feel guilty selling your wares that are antibiotic. And you're giving your clients and humanity a chance. And you're still making a living. And then you absolve yourself of feeling guilty that you're taking advantage of people. Because that's kind of what it is. Once you're exposed to this information and you're doing it, and then you're selling something that's completely the opposite, you've got to absolve yourself of that hypocrisy. You really do. And so the ones that understand JJ's and in the therapy world, I hope they take this on in some way. And some have told me, yeah, I mean, they're in the massage therapy, and you know, they do their best to let their clients know. But you know, but whenever time you do massage therapy, no matter what, whether it's Reiki, massage therapy, yeah, you're working on people that have imbalances, and you're releasing toxins into a body that doesn't have the capacity to really deal with it. And so it kind of is like a reinfection, so to speak. And so you have to understand that. And so that's why you bring J Juice along when you're doing like Reiki or doing massage therapy. You say, hey, I'm releasing toxins or in excess. That's what toxins are, is excess, back into your bloodstream or back into your body. And now you have to find a way to release it. And no, saltwater flushes is not going to be enough. Okay, saltwater flush activates your immune system, but you haven't fixed the weaknesses. So you still have malabsorption, but the body is still activating its immune system. So it's stealing resources from your hair, skin, and nails and bones. And then you're seeing the steady aging process. But it feels good to have the Reiki, and it feels good to have the massage therapy. But what are you doing with the excess? That's because it was stuck in your lymphatic nodes. Lymphatic nodes for a reason. When things are cordoned off, like a tumor or like your lymphatic, like people have like lymphoma and they have lymphoma or cancer, the lymph nodes and all that. That's all that stuff that the body is not releasing. So it creates weaknesses because it's over accumulating. And so then the holistic industry tries to release it, but then it's being released on a body that can't handle that reinfection, because that's what therapy is. Some people have enough resources to handle the reinfection, and some people don't. So that's why I say, if you're in the therapy world, regardless of what it is, get this introduced in some way as a way to release what it is that you're bringing to the surface. Because therapy brings to surface that which is causing the weaknesses. But you got to know that your body has to be able to handle that. Okay? So I've resigned to the fact that, yes, there are some people that are not going to do this. And people out there are going to have to take advantage of those that are leaving this earth. And that's what the funeral services homes are. They take advantage of people's, on their way out the door, their last hurrah, the last little minerals they have, the thing with the oil, and no war for Iran and no war for oil. Well, oil is money, it's currency. It's what gives you access to resources, to permission to go in some way and get resources and bring them back to your homeland. Water bottles are the same thing. We're not going to be using glass for water if you have people that are out there mobilized, mobile. Glass doesn't work. You can't always bring a jar with you everywhere you go. Sometimes you have to buy a water bottle. When you're in some devastated area from like Katrina or an earthquake, glass doesn't work. Water bottles work. So we have to have a balance. Now, how we get rid of excess waste, okay, no different than the body, but how we get rid of excess waste as far as landfills and all this other stuff, it's up to the government to figure out technology to handle the excess waste. Just like they were able to handle the sewer system, so you don't get reinfected by all the excess. It's being, pulled away from your house. Okay, so hold on, blow my nose. But yeah, I mean, so every single war out there is a justifiable war. Every country that's receiving our aggression have also been the aggressor. Don't want to negotiate due to cultural differences. I know that Trump and Obama and Clinton and Bush all have tried to create diplomatic relations with every single leader out there, and some are just not open. Just like me trying to talk to people that hate me, they're not open. Diplomatic relations with people who are against J-Juice is no different than what Trump has to deal with as far as third world countries or other countries that don't believe in our way of life. It's a very, very, I don't know, it's a difficult thing. It's complicated. But we can't ignore. I can ignore the people that don't like me. I don't need them. If anything, they need me, but they don't know it. But we do need to have some kind of open lines of communication with those out there. So that's why we hold a lot of the bombs. We're not trying to, believe me, if we wanted to take somebody off the map, we could. But we don't for a reason. We don't want to go there. We really don't want to go there. But sometimes you have to posture to show people that you're willing to stand for yourself. I mean, when I went to those 2 court cases, you guys want to know of one. I went to 2 court cases the last 2 years. Nobody showed up to my court case. Nobody did. Except for me and the judge, and then all the people that were doing their, that are doing their own cases. Okay? So you've got to stand up for yourself, and you do it in the most diplomatic way. You do it through the law. So, and the law will always be your last go-to, not vigilanteism, not posting your opinion like as if you are privy to information that you don't have. You let the law determine. Sometimes the law has to police itself, yes, because there are corrupt people. There's corrupt people everywhere. The thing with the whole thing with conspiracy, I'm watching, it's interesting, it's so funny that the shoe's on the other foot. Back when I was a conspiracy theorist and I was part of the Ron Paul revolution and anti-Republican, anti-Democrat and all this stuff, and I'm like debating with people who are staunch pro-Obamers and all that stuff. And they're, and we're going back and forth on what's right and what's wrong, and okay, fine. And now the shoe's on the other foot, and now I'm like, okay, you back up your country. They don't like, we have now people that are very, very Democrat, don't like Trump, and they're actually repeating the same thing that I did. They're all about patriotism versus nationalism, and they're now going into the whole thing with Nazi Germany. I mean, it's the same stuff, but then it's being used from a different perspective. So when you're using the word conspiracy theory as a way to justify your argument without any substantiation, and you're not even taking the law or the Bill of Rights or the Constitution at all into account, that seems to be the argument for everything. And so now it's like, don't even use the word conspiracy theory, even for if you're a Republican, that you're pro-Trump, because they can use that against you. If you use it against somebody else, that the Democrats are conspiring, well, yeah, everyone conspires. What it all comes down to is the law. Because I'm gonna tell you, when you use those types of terminology like pseudoscience and conspiracy theory against anybody, it can be used against you. So what it comes down to is the law, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of that. And so I'm watching people using the same arguments that I used against Obama when I was anti-government being used against me because I'm saying to back up the Constitution. Not even Trump, but Trump happens to be in office, okay? It's not like we have Pelosi and Trump side by side next to each other working together. No, it's like you only have one president, okay? And he happens to be Trump. So that's who I'm backing at this point. But hey, in the next, if there's an election and somebody else wins, I'll back him up too, as long as the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are being backed up and they're not putting us in such precarious positions. But Obama, even though, yes, we had a lot of people die and they did give money to Iran, and that's what they're blaming now for the ballistic missiles that Iran has, is the amount of money that Obama gave to buy some kind of peace. Whatever, we didn't see anything on our homeland. But we also have interests that were being challenged, but Obama found a way to not get into anything crazy. But you don't know that maybe back then the buildup wasn't as much, and then now the buildup is even more so. And then you don't know what goes on in the background. So no matter what, you back your president, no matter what. And the specific measurable result is if you are receiving bombs from another country. Because if you're receiving bombs from another country, okay, then it means somebody over there in the White House and in Congress and the NSA are not doing their job. So the fact that you haven't seen anything really unstable in your environment says that your leaders are doing their job. The fact that you can say, well, we don't have any, any beef with anybody. Nobody's coming to hurt us. Well, you don't know how many things they've intercepted. The fact that you can say that we're relatively safe and that we have no fear of those people, whoever they are, means that somebody did their job. For you to even say that, do you have to have some kind of proof that somebody is out to get you? Do you really have to see the proof? You don't need to take massive amounts of Drano to prove that it's not FDA approved. Okay? The fact that someone says don't drink Drano, it's not FDA approved, is enough. You don't need to test it out to see if that's really true or not. Okay? That's the whole thing with these arguments against your president. That's why I'm so over with. I'm done with that. So it's funny to watch now the shoe on the other foot. It's funny as hell. Oh God. So anyways, that's kind of it right now. So I brought everything back to the law, and that's the whole thing with the J juice. It follows the laws of life. It's not antibiotic. You know, the FBI have already vetted me out. I've met with them personally. Okay, the OAG, you guys knew, if you guys have read all the articles out there from BuzzFeed, Newsweek, Daily Mail, all that, you know, they've made articles about all of my missteps and mistakes, and that's okay. You know, you make mistakes and you learn from them. That's, you know, a sign of intelligence. When you make a mistake, you learn from it, because nobody knows everything. And I don't have a lawyer sitting next to me. Okay, so the Jilly Juice follows all the laws of life. It's probiotic plus then paired with the salt, which is electrolytes, and the minerals, and water, and the micro and macro nutrition to heal. And then the salt and the water rehydrates you, and the minerals then keep the balance of the minerals in your body. The pro hormones, which is the micro and macro nutrition, heals you. It allows you to finally absorb what you need, and then put stuff on reserve, and then gives you that immune strength, so that way you can handle your environment, so you don't succumb to the elements. Okay, and so, and the laws of J juice brings back law and order in your body. There's no anarchy with J juice. There's a specific law of life, and there's a specific law of death. Anarchy is the laws of death. Anarchy is death and chaos. So I have a few anarchists on my Facebook, and I'm okay with that. I've met them personally, actually. Some are in the cryptocurrency world. Others are in the We Are Change world, which is okay. You know, I've met them personally. I respect what they're doing. They are men without a state. They travel continuously, you know, having a say on all the different politics, saying that, you know, statists are bad. You shouldn't be, you know, loyal to your government. But if you don't have some kind of law and order, some kind of infrastructure, you don't have anything. I respect where they're coming from, but that's not the reality. They have the luxury to do that because they have YouTube channels, they have cryptocurrency type of stuff. They can afford to have that voice because they're utilizing the currency in the states. The statists are giving them that platform to talk about how horrible the platform is. Just like Jilly Juice gave that lady on Dr. Phil a platform to talk smack because she had a stroke, according to her, but the fact that she had enough minerals to survive her symptoms says that J Juice gave her enough minerals to survive another day. Because when people die from strokes, they don't have enough minerals to push that blood through to their brain or their heart. And so when you survive a symptom, the symptoms let you know that you have weaknesses. But if you die from them, it means you don't have enough resources. Yes, and Jeff Holiday. Jeff Holiday, he's not even like on my radar. He's just whatever. He drinks alcohol, he's whatever. He'll figure it out. But that's the thing, is that J Juice gave, because Jeff Holiday never did the protocol. That's why I don't mention him, because he's never done it. So he has no really room to talk. He's just riding on my coattails. But the lady that was talking about strokes, the fact that she did the J Juice gave her another day to talk smack. Just like we are, you know, the cryptocurrency is being bought by the dollars or the different currencies that are out there. Because you don't get cryptocurrency for free, you have to buy it with your currency. So the fact that people can be anarchists and travel around speaks to the fact that they still rely on the status to give them that platform. No different than I gave that lady a platform to talk smack about me, as well as Jeff Holiday too. Yes, you're right, Rob. As well as Dr. Phil. But it in turn helped me out to get this information out. So no matter what, I mean, energy, when you are responding to energy, or when people respond to you with their energy, they're taking what they don't have. They're taking what they don't have. And balancing their own biochemistry. And then eventually they turn into me. They will, because they will have no choice but to. When you follow someone that closely and you're so immersed in their information enough to be the one to talk smack about it, they will eventually do it, or they prove my point. They will pass away with everybody else that they band together with. And then Rob says, what was up with the dude who rushed the stage? That was crazy. I don't know about that. They say that the tickets to the Dr. Phil show is for free, but then he has plants in there too. I don't say plant. I mean, you don't know really what the intention is out, in these talk shows. It's like half. Like, I didn't even know that I was going to be seeing Jeff. I'll give you a little bit of insight as far as the whole Dr. Phil thing. When they pitched me this program to do, they asked me twice. I denied them one time, and then I finally said, okay, fine. I have a book coming out. Fine, I'll do it. I didn't know who I'd be meeting. They made it sound like that I would get my protocol out there, and they made it sound like I would be introduced to something wonderful, and they didn't say how they were going to lean on it. They didn't say where they were going to come from. They're just like, hey, you want to get your protocol out? Here, we have a platform. You give us a 15-minute or whatever elevator pitch. You write it out, and I work with producers and all of that. And then they say, bring in 2 people. So I brought Bridget and then Angie. And Angie, she's not any part of this anymore. I haven't spoken to her in a while. And you bring them onto the stage with you, and then you guys talk about the J Juice. I didn't know he'd be bringing in Jeff Holiday or that lady that had a stroke or the other lady. I didn't even know those two. I didn't even pay attention to Jeff Holiday. I wasn't even paying attention to my haters. I didn't care. I had a few haters that I knew about, and I thought they were going to bring on. But when I found out that one of the haters was like posing as me, trying to make it sound like I'm some crazy. Because let me tell you, I had a lot of people that were taking accounts, making it sound like it was me doing all this stuff, or screenshotting things and then modifying it and then say, oh, this is what Jillian's doing. She's trying to, do this or that. I mean, I'll tell you what, I went through some hell in the beginning. So they didn't bring her on, but I guess they brought in people that I didn't even know existed, but they knew who I knew existed, but I never mentioned Jeff Holiday. I never mentioned that lady that had a stroke because I didn't even know who she was, or the other lady who was talking smack on the stage. So so when we were taping, it was like when I came in, and this is crazy. So I had a whole week. I'll kind of tell you the background. I had a whole week of where I was like up a lot, writing out my elevator pitch, talking to the producers for a whole week. And then on that Friday, I had to get up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport, to then go to another airport to do a layover. And I was running in Michigan just to get from one plane to another. And then from Michigan all the way to California. And I get there at 9 or so, or 10 over there in California, in Hollywood. A car was waiting for me. And I went to the hotel for a minute, and then from the hotel, I dropped my stuff off, and then we went to go and tape the first taping. So they put me in an outfit, they put me in makeup, and they're like, okay, here, say this, say that, tell us this, tell us that, and that's what. So when you see the Dr. Phil show, those little introductions, little vignettes of introductions, that's what I was doing on the first day after like having no sleep. So I'm like totally tired, and then after that. First day, second day, there's a few days of taping. I think 1 day of taping and then 2 days off. So I'm off like hanging out in Hollywood. They put me in a hotel, the Roosevelt Hotel. And so I'm wondering what's going on. I'm thinking in my head, what are they going to say? Because I have no idea what the whole framework was going to be. So I'm just thinking of what they were going to do. So they're going to talk about the salt, the healing symptoms. I'm like, I don't know what angle they're going to take. And then on that Monday, they're like, okay, we need to have something else. We need to have you repeat something else or whatever. So I do that. And then the Tuesday, they tape the show. And that's when I left, was Tuesday as well. So Monday I tape, Friday I taped. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'm chilling for 3 freaking days at a hotel. And they give you an expense account, like some food money. And then on that Tuesday is when they actually tape the whole show. And so I don't know if that guy was put there to do that, because they say the tickets are for free, that one that rushed the stage. And then I met my opponents for the first time. And so, yeah, so that's how they get their ratings, is they put people together. Like, I'm sure Jeff Holiday and those people knew that they were meeting me, but I didn't know who I was meeting. So they were surprising me, and surprising Bridget, and surprising Angie. So that's kind of, and they told me, the producer told me, you fight. If Dr. Phil says something, you fight, you tell them whatever you got to tell them and whatever, and like, and don't hold back. You say what you got to say. And I did it. I was aggressive. Oh, I was aggressive. And I knew it, because as soon as I sat on that chair before he brought me out, when they were doing the introduction, as soon as I heard the first tone of whatever you were saying in the beginning, I knew that I was going in for a freaking battle. I knew it, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. So I just walked in so strong, and I sat on that chair, and I looked around at who it is. I'm like, you know what? I know you guys are going to paint me as I'm some kind of demon, and I'm going to fight everything I can to get my information out. And Dr. Yaudine just put her foot in her mouth by saying, oh, yeah, there's no calcium in cabbage. And they were all focusing on the salt and the waterfalls and all that shit. And I'm just like, oh, my God. And I didn't have all of the information. Yes, and those chairs were like 10 feet tall. Yes, they were. I didn't have all the information that I have now. So it was all purely theoretical, with some substantiation as far as salt and the probiotic. I didn't even mention probiotic either. Okay, so it was just such an experience to be able to get your thought process out under attack and not cave under that pressure. And that was a lot from the J juice, to be able to get this out and be under that much of an attack and still be able to carry out your concepts, even though people are making fun of me and they're all attacking me. But that's kind of, no matter what, when you're under healing process, it's not fun, it's not pleasant, it's downright aggressive sometimes. Healing, it's not fun. But you know what you have and you stand by it. Okay, you know what you have and you stand by it. And that's what carried me through the whole Dr. Phil show. And then watching it was a little bit like, and I watched it, I think it was in May when it finally came out. I'm like, oh my God, holy crap. So there is a video somewhere embedded on May 22nd, I think, of 2018. Yeah, May 22nd of 2018, where I'm actually doing a Facebook Live watching the show publicly with everybody. So if you find that embedded somewhere in my videos on Facebook, have fun watching. but you probably already watched the clips of it all over YouTube, because they're all over YouTube, and that's fine. But it was worth it. But I really wasn't ready in the beginning. When they first introduced it to me in October of like 2017, I wasn't ready. And then they finally asked me in early on of 2018. Then I said, okay, fine, I will do it. Because I have a book coming out and I need to get my book sold, and I owe it to my moderators, because, you know, we all were trying to figure out how we're going to do this business model. And so the business model has changed, but that's okay, because the business model was based upon just what we thought was immediate, you know, the swag, you know, the moderators, paying the moderators. And I have one moderator I pay minimally, because there's not much really to do. But I mean, Lillian has been around with me forever, since the beginning. And so I give her, right now we're splitting the book cost right now, because it's not a lot. I don't get a lot right now from the book, because she does go in and take care of email sometimes, and also, but there's not a lot to do. But I still keep her around, and I still give her some money to keep her around. But then when the next book comes up, you know, that's going to be people's ticket into the group too, and that would be more stuff, more things to do for Lillian to do and deal with. And so things will pick up. And then Kevin is helping me write the book, so I'm going to split the book royalties with him, because he's writing it and helping me with it. And so that's the business model that I have at this point, is that, you know, I get royalties, I split it with someone that's writing the book or whatever, or I pay a moderator to handle my background stuff. That way I don't have to worry about all of that. Sometimes I will handle it, sometimes I won't. And anyone else that wants to write a book to talk about the J juice and their experiences to help other people, I'm willing to split the cost. Okay, and so you can get royalties on a continuous basis. And so yeah, so when Lulu pays me, I give them the split that, okay, these royalties are gonna be 50-50, so give me half of whatever, and then they send off the other half to PayPal to the other person or a check, and that's how it's done. And then you deal with your own taxes, you know, and that's up to you. So that's the transparency of J Juice. We don't make a lot of money. We're not rich. I'm not swimming in, you know, whatever. I'm just a regular person like all of you that has an idea, that knows that I don't have to spin my wheels to get to a certain point, because I have plenty of time. And there's still a lot to be done. We're not there yet. But you're seeing the tricklings of the testimonies, because this protocol isn't easy, you guys. It's not easy. But some of you are really, really nice, and you do give me a testimony. And there are different countries with people that are representing their country doing it, and they have a lot of clout. And, you know, so time is on our side. We're not in a hurry to make all this money right away, okay, if at all. But the book is what is really important, because that's going to lay, you know, that's going to give people just an indisputable information that has been substantiated by biotech. Not so much the conclusion, because biotech's conclusion is not indefinite life. They're just to kind of give you a state of execution. But the symptoms and the pain and all the different science behind J Juice has been substantiated by biotech, except for the conclusion, okay? Because this is not a cure. This is not some remedy. This is not something that you do, like, you know, half-heartedly, you know, with no intention. You have intention with J Juice, or you don't do it at all, because the juice isn't easy to drink. It's downright nasty in the beginning. Now I can handle it, because I leave it out, and I know what to expect, and I just shoot it. And it's mind over matter, because I know what it does for me. So I'm telling you, I'd rather drink soda or juice or water than drink the J Juice. But juice, soda, or water doesn't give me what J Juice gives me. And so it is mind over matter when it comes to J Juice. You have to know why you're drinking J Juice to do J Juice. You just can't drink J Juice because somebody gave it to you. It's not a wham bam thank you ma'am. It's something that you have to know at the root level why you're doing it. And if you don't, there's no way you're gonna be able to handle the over the long haul. And there are people out there that thought J Juice was something that was easy, that they can just slam and everything be happy. Oh no, wrong way, dude, to look at it. And so those people have fallen off. And so that's why I kind of just like don't get too attached to people, because I don't know if they're going to stick around. And so, you know, the ones that do stick around, I know are going to be in it for the long haul, and that do give me their testimonies, that do, you know, are helping their own friends and family, that are getting the word out in a nice way. I give them my attention on some level. Okay, so yeah. Oh, all right. So you guys just have a good day. Do the J Juice. I appreciate new friends coming on board. You know, I do get very leery of people, you know, of people. So if I act as if a little bit detached, remember, it's my protective mechanism. So, you know, don't take it too seriously. You know, I don't do a lot of private messaging back and forth, because I don't want to get stuck in that. So the best way to interact with me, just like right now, through, you know, without asking so many questions about J Juice, because everything's in the book, or you can go to my group once you get the book and get some clarification. But the best way to interact with me on such a level like this is through my Facebook Lives, as well as offering just, you know, your little 2 cents here and there based upon your experiences. And then anything else that I say on my Facebook, it's all up to you to interact with me that way. Okay? But other than that, you guys just have a good day. Stay cool, stay warm. Don't be fearful of the geopolitics. Nobody wants nuclear war. Nobody wants to have anybody decimate a country or decimate anything. Okay, it's just all posturing. But if it ever happens, the way to help your country is to survive, is to heal. No matter what happens, when something happens, living is the way to help your country. Not dying, but living. Without you, you don't have a country. You don't have people in the military. You don't have people in your government. You don't have people trading with you. You don't have a support system when people are dead. Okay? So living is your best defense against anything out there. When you're dead, there's nothing more. There is nothing remotely enticing being a floating disembodied spirit with no DNA and RNA. There's nothing enticing about that. And that's what we don't promote. We don't promote people hanging out in a spiritual level. Body, mind, and spirit, physically on this earth right now is what I promote. And that's it. Without you, we have no country, we have no life, we have no infrastructure, we have no community. We need you. All right. Have a good day. Bye.